Okay guys, welcome to my first video on YouTube, and of course we had to play krokhol disc of course. And today I'm playing with bjarte as well.
Hi.
So let's just jump right into it and have some fun. Okay guys, so as I just mentioned, I'm finally here at krokhol. It's been a plan I've had to do for a while now, and what a better way to start off posting on YouTube than playing the #1 course in the world. So me and my friend Bjarte, we decided to play this course and a couple of others, and just as a friendly competition to see who could win the most courses. Now we filmed a total of 4 of the 6 courses we played, 3 of which are going to be here on YouTube, whilst the other one is going to be uploaded to TikTok. But with all the introduction out of the way, we are finishing up hole 1 on this iconic course. Neither of us really have the arm speed to regularly get the disc to the basket on this hole, so we both pretty much laid it up and both ended up getting a pretty easy par. So with me putting it out and Bjarte just tapping out his, which is absolutely park, we can move on to hole number 2. Hole 2 is a 202 meter par 4 with OB to the right and behind the basket. Both of us here are just trying to rip one and get it to the right as it is more open that side. Bjarte's drive was looking decent enough, not the best because you want to get it more to the right, but it looked at least decent. He was very unfortunate though, and it ended up rolling into the woods on the left side, and he just had to forehand pitch out and unfortunately went OB to the right. My drive, however, was honestly really good. It just ended up giving me some bad footing as I was running uphill on the throw, killing a bit of my distance. Not that I really had the best chance of birding the hole with the drive I had, but I at least had a better chance than what I ended up with. Bjarte's new approach was way better this time, barely got over the hill and slid into a decent putt. I ended up going very short, like in deep C2, C3 area. For some reason decided to run this because playing a bit more casually and ended up having a long comebacker, as Bjarte drains his bogey putt. With this putt I needed to make this to gain a stroke on him, and it chained out left side. And you can just see the disappointment in my face. But we are having fun, so I'm just laughing it off as we move on to hole 3, both 1 over par. Hole 3 is a 95 meter tight wooded hole. Bjarte decided that he wanted to go to the left, and I decided, hey, why not try to do the same? I follow him, but unfortunately I got to kick out to the right, so I couldn't join my friend. It is needed to be said that I got a lot more lucky than he is because I was at FBOT, whilst he is just deep in nowhere. This is such a treacherous hole because if you're first in the woods, there is almost no getting out of it in 1 or 2 strokes. So since I got lucky enough to be at the FBOT pad, but barely off it, I have a gap but not a good one. But I end up giving myself a look, and Bjarte with Berg throws this beautiful shot, saving the bogey, if he can make the putt that is. Now at this point I'm thinking to myself there is no point in running this because there is very little to gain by making it and there is a lot to lose by missing it. But because of my layup, we both end up tapping in our bogeys. So we're both 2 over par going into hole 4. Hole 4 is a 148 meter par 3 going straight downhill. All you need to do is just hit your gap with a stable to slightly overstable disc and just let it glide towards the basket. Bjarte got a really unfortunate throw there, whilst mine just slid through every tree there is, getting super lucky and ends up giving me a long putt for the birdie. Whilst Bjarte still has some work left to do for his par, but he ends up getting a really solid approach here and has a decent sized putt for the par. Here is my very long birdie look. Unfortunately I was stuck behind these bushes that cut off my arm movement a lot more than it looks like. I did actually run it, but unfortunately it just looks like a layup. Now it is Bjarte's turn to try to save the par, and very ugly spit out. So I finally end up getting a stroke on him, but it was not because I played well, it was because he got a bit unlucky on the chains. But we move on to hole 5. Hole 5 is a short par 4, 175 meters. Your drive just has to be something that goes far and turns and keeps on gliding to the right the entire way. I throw my Hades, a beautiful drive, whilst Bjarte turns it over a bit too much. But all things considered, we both ended up in pretty decent spots. Now for the approach, we both tried to go for this right gap, but Bjarte leaks it a bit too early, ends up hitting that one clutch of threes you don't want to hit. And for my approach, I'm going with my Rockstar to the right, trying to just get it up there and skip towards the basket, and I absolutely nailed the shot. After playing this hole, I feel like it's a must get for the pros, and for intermediate players it's also very gettable. Bjarte now has a long putt, and throughout this entire day, and honestly throughout the entire trip, he never lays up a putt. And you can kind of see why, because he makes a lot of them. This first round was just kind of the outlier of the bunch, but you're gonna see throughout this little mini-series here that he makes a lot of long putts. Over to hole number 6, and we have 100-meter par 3. You need to stay clear of the woods and turn it over quite a bit to the right. Unfortunately, that was something neither of us did a very good job at, and Bjarte got punched quite a lot into the woods whilst I am in the outline. And as you can see, it is complete jail in there. But he managed to find a way out. Still has a difficult approach to the basket, but at least got out and has something to work with. Myself, I have a forehand into the basket. Don't get the angle I actually wanted, a bit more Anheuser, but it still gives me a putt. Bjarte with this honestly awesome tomahawk with the berg. It did unfortunately roll a bit, but from where he was, that was an amazing shot. And it's my turn to just try to clean up my par. With a really good putt, I managed to do so, and Bjarte to save his bogey. Yeah, like I said, this was not his round. And at this point, with a 5-stroke lead, I am sitting very comfortable as we move on to hole number 7. Hole 7, 193 meters, relatively simple shots. So I just go out there with my Hades trying to bite up as much distance as I can, getting a fair amount, whilst Bjarte once again turns it over a bit too much, ends up in the right side there. It looks pretty open, but it is nothing there. Just has to go with a spike hyzer, try to get over everything and back into the fairway. And filming this, I just completely lost the disc until right about there. Apparently that was a very good shot based on what he had, because he had nothing. My approach, I tried to get it there, but got a bit unlucky there, but honestly I just didn't throw it that well. I left myself a long putt as Bjarte gets a very good approach. Leaves it a bit short, but he definitely has a way better putt than I do. And here we have a death putt, so there was honestly no reason for me running this. Just laying it up, very safe, very boring. But as always, this man never lays it up, just runs and everything. And occasionally, that pays off. We both get our pars as we move on to hole number 8. Hole number 8, par 4, 241 meters. A Mando on the left side, trying to just keep you into the right fairway. Doesn't really come into play, but I almost missed it, as I had a pretty awful drive. Bjarte getting a lot better than me, as he is kind of in the middle of the fairway. I had to scramble already. I thought I did a good job, but honestly it was pure luck that I kicked out, as Bjarte has a very uncomfortable distance he needs to throw now, as the OB is right where his disc lands. He was really contemplating before throwing if he was going to go for it, trying to get over it, or just lay it up short. Ended up trying to go for it and unfortunately got punished. Here I go with my Hades, as he said there's a lot more safety on the right side. I turn it over to a pretty awful spot, as Bjarte gets not so lucky. Needed just a few more meters to push into the gap he needed to hit. And here you guys can see my lie. It is such a tiny branch that ruins so much for me. A bit of an annoyance, but it is what it is. We take it and move on to the long putting that we both have to do. We both run it, and this one I was really feeling confident with, even though it was a horrible putting stance. So close, but unfortunately close means nothing on the putting green or in disc golf in general. So we both just take our double bogeys and try to move on to hole number 9. The shortest hole on this layout. It's 85 meters, but it is uphill the entire way. I get a kind of unfortunate early release, but Bjarte gets this beautiful shot. No words needed. just purely beautiful. He basically has a tap-in birdie whilst I'll still have a lot of work for my par. And this is one of my biggest mistakes this entire trip. I go for the putt, the long putt, and it leaks out so far to the left. This one luckily wasn't that bad because there was a backstop, but you can believe I was very nervous throwing this putt. Way too high to the right, but fortunately made it. But yeah, Bjarte got that nice birdie, gaining a stroke on me as we move on to hole 10. 126 meter par 3, downhill and to the right. If I had a forehand, I would, but I decided to just go with my Vandal. Ended up turning it over a bit too much, and as Bjarte did, I also go OB. So 2 bad drives, and here, once again, running the putt for some stupid reason and end up way far to the left, giving myself such an unnecessary tester. But we can't dwell on it, as Bjarte gives a much better approach than I did. He can just tap in his bogey as I still need to work for mine. And it's definitely a short putt, but I have been struggling a lot with my 5 meters, as you can clearly see. So he gains another stroke on me by getting a bogey to my double. Definitely not how you want to gain strokes, but hey, you'll take what you can. Moving right along to hole 11, 149 meters, par 3. It is slightly downhill, but it is insane that they can call this a par 3. On any regular course, this would be a soft par 4, but as this is the gold layout and is meant for the best of the best, of course it's a par 3. We went with 2 very different approaches. Bjarte decided to go safe and low, fortunately a bit too low and hit the trees. I decided to go more aggressive with my T-Rex, something I knew would flip slightly and come back, and ended up getting a much better drive, but my approach was utter garbage. I knew I should have thrown a forehand with an overstable putter, but for some reason in my head I was thinking I want to throw backhand with my deputy. And this is the clear result of making a bad decision because you want to do something that is not the correct choice. I have a very difficult shot for the par, and of course I run it because this is casual, and I airball and it goes way long. A lot of these holes have been learning experiences for me because I have not been playing them properly. A lot of dumb mistakes that I shouldn't really do, but you live and you learn. So let's just knock down this putt for the bogey, save what we can and move on. And I actually managed to do that, so we move on to hole number 12. Hole 12, a very fun 267 meter par 4. A lot of downhill in the beginning, but there's OB to the right, so you gotta be careful. Bjarte, I believe, kicked out before the OB, and here I go with my T-Rex, just need this to come back. And I can't stress this enough, it is such a beautiful disc. You guys need to check it out, it is so underrated. And it barely stays safe. Bjarte now in the tree lines, he is going aggressive on this. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out. His plan was to have it a bit more left and stay safe on the left side. Didn't really work out that well. Here I'm just going aggressive with my Hades, trying to reach the basket. Pulled it over a bit too much, got lucky with the kick out, as Bjarte has this approach to try to save a bogey. And it honestly looks very beautiful, just leaks a bit too far to the left and a bit short. Here we just have a inside joke that we say every time we have a very long putt, and we call it a tap-in. So I obviously run it, and of course leaking it left as always. Bjarte to save the bogey. Unfortunately, hits the cage, drops down, as I am actually able to just clean up my par, taking back those 2 strokes that he got on me before we move on to hole 13. 13 is a very difficult par 3, 107 meters uphill with a tight gap. I tried to go aggressive with my S-line FD, but yeah, hit trees. Bjarte also going aggressive here. Gets a bit more fortunate of a kick than I do, and ends up clean to the left there. I still have a bit of work to get out of the forest, and I don't really have a backhand here, so have to go with forehand, try to chop it. Unfortunately a bit too much angle, and it couldn't really fight its way out. Bjarte leaving it a bit short. He definitely has to work for that par, but so do I. Giving it a run, honestly thought I made it there for a second, but yeah, no. Not the best from distance. And another cage, so we both just tap in our bogeys. By the way, just to mention it, nobody come for him for double putting everything. We're playing casual and he is practicing for tournaments in the US, so it is just nice for him to have the opportunity to practice. With that said, we move on to hole 14, a 96 meter par 3. There is a huge water to the left that you just want to stay clear of. Honestly, a super fun hole if you're not scared of losing your discs. And I should definitely have gone a bit more aggressive as I left myself quite short. Bjarte, unfortunately OB, manages to retrieve his disc and of course saves the par. Here I decided that, hey, I can't be scared of making putts. This is casual, we're having fun. So at least I hit metal, but I get a very unfortunate ball and basically have nothing. Just need to pitch out for my bogey as he gains a stroke going OB. It feels awful, but I'm just gonna move on. And we move on to hole 15. I know the T sign says 14, but that is a different layout because of the Krokhol Open tournament. I don't really know what changed there, but all I know is some of the holes T signs were different. Regardless, hole 15, 106 meters, just a nice turnover. Honestly, I thought I threw it perfectly. Bjarte was very lucky that it wasn't OB. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about my shot for a second there because I thought I genuinely threw it perfectly and I was rewarded with a low ceiling putt that had no chance of going in. Slightly annoying, but it is what it is, and both of us ended up taking the par on a relatively easy hole that you should get a birdie on. Again, that is just a comparison to the other holes we have to face in this very tough layout. But with that, I have a 4-stroke lead as we move on to the last 3 holes. Hole 16, 300 meters, par 5. And let me tell you, this was a doozy trying to play blind. I had no idea where the ideal landing spots were. Going with my T-Rex, I mean, I trust that thing with my life at this point. Honestly thought I threw it a bit further than Bjarte, but it is what it is. And here I had absolutely no idea where I was going and where the aiming points were, so just threw something and it kind of worked out. And Bjarte got a bit more unfortunate, hitting the one available tree, which basically means that birdie's out of the picture and he has to settle for par. But even just that is a lot of work. And unfortunately he leaks it left, doesn't get enough turn. And again, it is very understandable when you have an uphill run-up, it is difficult to get the angles correct. But I gotta say, my approach was a lot better, almost getting a perfect shot to the basket. Leaving it a bit short, so I have a kind of big putt left, but still, I am just very happy that I actually have a shot for the birdie, and I cashed it. And at this point, I feel pretty confident that I'm gonna win, so I am kind of cheering on him that he's just gonna make these putts. Yeah. It was very difficult to watch, and luckily he was able to hit his comebacker there for a double bogey as I took the birdie. 2 holes remaining, hole 17, 115 meters, quite short because of it downhill, but the island you need to make is rather small, so it's not an easy shot. We do, however, both end up on the green having putts. And here, Bjarte is just showing off his putting prowess as he absolutely drains this huge putt. And at this point, I feel like I need to hit this. It's about a 10-meter putt and hits the band. I got out-putted and it felt awful. But we move on to the final hole, hole 18, 230 meters, par 4. And unless I manage to absolutely screw up super bad, I basically have the win in my hands. With the round coming to an end, I just want to say that this has been a super fun experience. So fun just to try this course out for the first time, going in blind with a friend. Both of us went OB on the first shot, by the way. Just needed to mention that. But yeah. But in general, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I will be making more, and this is a learning curve for me. So please give me your thoughts on the video and everything else in the comments, and I will go through them, read, and try to make improvements. I will also try to get a hold of a mic to do better videos so I don't need to do recaps. But with that bail and us just finishing up the hole, I will take the first victory in this little competition we have going. And hopefully, as always, I will be seeing you guys next week.